Alright, so today we're going to be going over the ice cream shop order queue challenge. This is one of the object-oriented programming challenges, and this is widely seen as one of the most difficult challenges in the course, and so we're going to be going over it today. So, we're going to lay out some blueprints first. We're just going to conceptually draw everything out, and then we'll actually tackle the coding aspect of it. So, we're going to have a couple objects. The first one is the queue itself. And so we'll just write queue. And we're going to represent this with a circle. And in this we have our attributes and methods. So the attributes that are inside of the queue is just going to be a list called items. So let's call this items. And we represent this with just a list. And let's draw a line here. And these are going to be our methods associated with it. And these are checking the size of the list and queuing another item onto it. And then dequeuing an item off from it. And lastly, showing all the items in the list itself. And so that's our queue. Now, our next item, this is a little bit more complicated. So this is going to be the ice cream shop itself. So we'll call this ice cream shop, and I'm going to represent this with a big square. So the attributes in this is going to be a list of flavors. So we have our list over here. And now this is where the most complicated part of this is. So we have a queue inside of the ice cream shop. So I'm going to copy and paste this. Copy, paste. We have an instance of a queue inside of the ice cream shop. So when we make the ice cream shop, it also is creating an instance of the queue. And in this, its name is going to be called orders. So we have that here. Orders is this queue. So an important thing to note, orders, the object, is not a subclass of the ice cream shop. This is not going to be a subclass of it, and this is because it's just nested inside of it. They don't have the same methods as each other, and that's one, or the same attributes either for that matter. And so the methods of the ice cream shop are take order, show orders, and the next order up. So if the ice cream shop wanted to perform an enqueue, it would have to call to the orders object first, and then it can use the enqueue method, or the dequeue method, the size method, or the show method. But it itself cannot just call to those methods because it's not the parent class. It doesn't have those methods associated with it. It can only access it because the orders object is inside of it, nested. So let's go over what we have so far for our blueprints. We have our queue object. This is going to later be called orders. So these names will be interchangeable with each other for the sake of this example. And inside our orders, or the queue, we have the attribute items. This is a list. This list will later on hold just small dictionaries inside of it in each index of the list. Our orders can also perform size, checking the length of the list, enqueue, appending something to the end of it, dequeue, removing the first item in the list, show, and just printing out, iterating through the list and printing out each dictionary. Let's go over the ice cream shop's blueprints. So we're going to have a list of flavors. This can be any amount that the user chooses. When calling to the ice cream shop class and creating an instance of the object, in the parameters we'll have a list, and this will be any number of flavors that we choose. And we'll also have an instance of the queue object called orders. Again, this will have our items and the methods that it can perform alongside of it. Our ice cream shop has 3 methods that itself can perform. These interact with the orders object inside of it. We would access this by saying self dot orders dot, whatever we want to check with it, dot items if we want to look at the list inside of it, or one of the methods if we want to have the orders perform a method on itself, such as enqueue. So with the take order, we will check to see if the order that the user is entering is valid. Then we will create a dictionary from there, and then we'll perform the enqueue method and add it to the items list inside of the orders object. And similarly, the show orders method will show all the orders in that items list, and next order will dequeue the first item from the list, and we'll go from there. Alright, so now we're going to go through the ice cream shop challenge itself. We're going to go through all the code for this, and then at the end we'll step through it and actually see what's going on. So the very first thing that we want to, make sure that we have our blueprints open so we can follow along with it. And let's create our first class. So this is going to be the queue class. And so in this, when we instantiate an instance of our class, we are going to have our self.items. This is going to be our blank list. And so this is going to be what holds each small dictionary of orders. And then we have checking the size of the list. So this is going to return the length of the list. Oops. Our second method is going to be the enqueue. So in this, we are going to access self.items, and we are going to append to this list the item, and this is going to be the dictionary. Similarly, we're going to have our dequeue method. And so in this, we need to check first that the size of it is not 0. So if self.size, so again, now we're going to be performing the size method. If this is 0, then we are going to return none. Oops. Otherwise, we will return the item that we're removing from the list. So we're going to perform self.items.pop, and we'll remove the first item from the list. And our final method for this is going to be show. So we're going to call this show orders. Self is in our parameters, and in this we're going to just print self.items. So we're just going to print the whole list out. And so this is everything for our queue. Now remember, this is going to be inside of the ice cream shop itself. And we could space these out a little bit more, just to make this a little bit more readable. Alright, so now let's create our ice cream shop itself. So here we have class. Let's call this ice cream shop. And in this we have our init method. So we'll take in the flavors that the user flavors. So this is going to be a list that the user chooses of the flavors. And so we'll say self.flavors equals flavors. And then by default, we have an empty instance of the queue. So self.orders is going to be a queue. So remember, our queue is named orders in this. And let's define our method. So we're going to have the take order method. This is going to take on the customer's name. So this will be string. the flavor that they want. This will also be a string. And the number of scoops that they want. This will be an integer. And so the very first thing that we want to do in this is we want to make sure that they have we want to validate their order. So we want to make sure that they have a valid flavor that they're requesting and a valid number of scoops. So if flavor is in self.flavors, so we want to check to see, is it in this list? And we want to check that the number of scoops is in the proper range of 1 through 4. Remember, 4 is exclusive, so this is really going from 1 through 3. And if this is successful, we will print order created. And then we'll create our dictionary called order. And so in this, we're going to have the customer as the first key. The second one is going to be the flavor that they chose. And the third one is going to be the number of scoops that they wanted. And this will be our dictionary. And so from here, we want to append this to the orders. So we do this by enqueuing it. So we're going to call our enqueue method. So remember, the ice cream shop itself is not the one performing this method. We have to call to the orders object, which is the queue. So here, self.orders. So we scroll up and we look here. The enqueue, appending the item to the list, is performed by the orders object, not the ice cream shop. The ice cream shop is telling it to perform it, so that's why we say self.orders.enqueue. And we're going to enqueue the order into this, and then we're going to return. And if this is false, we'll also just return. So that's going to be the take order method. Our next method is going to be show all orders. So in this one, so print and we're going to say all pending orders in the ice cream shop. So for this, we need to iterate through our lists called items inside the orders object. So we're going to say for order in self.orders.items. So this is how we can access that list. We have to call to the orders first, and then we could go inside the list. All right, so for this, we're going to print. We'll make an F string customer. In this, we're going to call order customer. Then we'll say, on a new line, we'll print the flavor that they ordered. And lastly, the number of scoops. And so we're going to print out all of these. And that's going to be our show orders method. And so for our final method for this, we're going to make our next order method. So in this, we're calling to self, so we're going to print next order up. And in this, we're going to take an order variable, and we're going to make this the return of the DQ method. So we're going to say self.orders.dq. And then we're just going to print the order at the end there. And so that's all of the methods for the ice cream shop itself. So next we're going to be stepping through this with the testing code. All right, so we are in a really cool tool that I like to use and visualize stuff for Python for students. This is called pythontutor.com. Here I just copied and pasted the code and I put the testing code here at the bottom. So we're going to click visualize execution and we're going to step through this code and we're going to see what's going on. So here it's creating what I was drawing out for you guys earlier. So here's our methods and here's what's made at the beginning. So here we have our instance of the ice cream shop. We have Rocky Road, mint chip, pistachio, ice cream inside of the shop. And this is going to be in our list of flavors. We also have our queue, the instance of a queue called orders. And this has our blank empty list. So here we see these. So we have the list of flavors, Rocky Road, mint chip, pistachio, orders, the queue instance with the empty list items inside of it. And so we're going to perform our first order. So this is going to be Zachary. He wants pistachio, so we're going to check first. If pistachio is in the flavors and the scoops is in the proper range, then we'll print order created, which it is. He wants pistachio, 3 scoops. This is good. And now we're going to perform the enqueue method. So we'll jump up to here. So enqueue self.items.append the item. So what is the item that we're putting in here? This is this dictionary object here called item. Zachary, pistachio, 3 scoops. That gets appended into this list here. So let's watch this arrow jump over. And here we go. So the 0th index of the items list is going to be this dictionary. Customer, flavor, scoops, Zachary, pistachio, 3. And now this method is now finished. Let's take our second order for Marcy. So she wants mint chip and 1 scoop. So this will also be valid. Mint chip, 1 scoop is in the range. So we'll step through this a bit. So right now it's just confirmed the validation that her order is in fact valid. And now we're creating an order variable. This is going to be the dictionary. Here with her information, we step through this. Now we're enqueuing this. So here it's going to get added to the queue. And now it is the 1 index of this. Let's keep stepping through. So our next order is going to be Leopold. He wants vanilla ice cream. We will see that this is invalid. So a cool thing with Python Tutor as a little side note is that it has these arrows here to indicate what lines of code it's going to be running. And so this fails. So we return none and we take a look at the next order. Bruce wants Rocky Road. That's a valid flavor, but he wants 0 scoops, so he's not getting any ice cream. And now we look at our show all orders method. So we're calling to self. So we're looking at the orders, show all orders. So for order, so all pending orders in the ice cream shop. For order in self.orders.items. This is where we will look at that list all the way up top. So we're going through here. So we printed the first dictionary. So we're looking at these items here. So self.orders.items. Printed the first dictionary. Printing the second one now. Here's the second one. Now we'll do next order up. So print next order up. Self.orders.dq. We're going to jump all the way back up to here. So the size of our list items is not 0. So now we're going to return. So we're checking the size also. And we are removing the first item here. So this has now been taken out and is assigned to the order variable in the next order method. And we're going to print the order. So we print this dictionary, and we'll just run through the show all orders again. So now we're going to iterate through this, but there's only one order in here. So just Marcy's order is being pending. And that's everything for the ice cream shop. I hope this was helpful for you guys. If you want any other videos of any challenges that you found difficult, just let me know.